call this meeting to order, I think, right?
Yes.
All right. Would you?
So, Councilmember Trupiano, are you
Here.
here? And Mayor Juan.
I am here.
Thank
All
you.
right. Public comment on non-agenda items. We have 2 speaker cards. Mr. Killer, and you're up first. My bad. All right. If there are any public comments on non-agenda items, all right, we will move on to action items
And
3A.
Mayor Juan, just to confirm, there's no hands raised on Zoom.
Thank you. All right, 3A. Sorry, I'm getting situated here. This is the budget and 2023 budget update of the city's master fee schedule, status timeline. I do not see our finance director here. Is he scheduled to be here today? Or she? I don't know.
Mayor Juan, I have our finance director, Angeline, on Zoom as a panelist.
Okay, excellent. Did you want to kick us off?
Sure. So thank you, Mayor and Councilmember Trupiano, for this meeting today for us to discuss budget items. Our finance director, Angeline Loeffler, is caring for a family member at home, so she's on as a panelist today on Zoom. And then our finance consultant, Nitish Sharma, is supposed to be on as well, so he isn't on yet. I've also invited our police chief and our maintenance supervisor to join us today to answer any questions that you might have on these agenda items. So the first item is related to our budget and the schedule for the budget, and then also for the master fee schedule timeline. I'm going to go ahead and let Angeline get started on, well, she can talk about both of them, the budget and the master fee schedule timeline. Nitish, if he doesn't make it on, we can still do it without him. And so, Angeline, I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to you for you to make the presentation.
All right, everyone, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Okay, so previously we have provided the committee member with the master fee schedule timelines in the back in the February 17th as a part of the agenda items, but there was some changes onto the fee schedule, the timelines, as they were working conjunctions with the working together with our upcoming budgets 2023 and 2024. Some of those informations are really correlated in between the master fee schedules and the budget process. So the Nitish is mainly working the leader on the working on the master fee schedules. So he and I are kind of working together to the coordinate the schedules, to share the information, to execute both of the budget process and as well as the master fee schedules. So initially, the master fee schedule was scheduled to complete it on the May 16th of 2023. That was the previous timeline that we have actually presented to the council members, but that schedule is now being updated with aligned with our budget for the 2023 and 2024. So both of the process for the fiscal year 23-24 budget process has kicked off on March 1st by distributing the budget worksheet to our department's leaders to really start the process and getting some of the inputs on those budget figures. And for the master fee schedule, Mr. Sharma has started the interviewing process with our department leaders as well on the March 10th to kick off the master fee schedule process. So during the next 2-3 weeks, we will be getting the inputs back from the department's leaders, as well as the masters, some of those informations relevant to updating the master fee schedule. And so once the information, we're scheduled to compile all the information for both the budget and the master fee schedules throughout the April 7th. And then we're going to be presenting those information to our city managers on the week of the April 7th. And then we are scheduled to really present it some of those preliminary proposed master fee schedule structures, and as well as the budget informations to the budget and audit committees on the April 24th of 2023. And carrying that on, that we're going to be again scheduled to present the updates on their budgets and the fee schedules on the following the audit, budget and audit committees on the May 22nd. And then that will lead on to the June 6th of the council meetings for the budget workshops. And they were anticipating the final, proposed, the council's actions on the June 20th for the upcoming next year budget and the master fee schedules at that point. I think those are really the preliminary timelines that we have currently has in place in order to timely execute an adoption of the 2024 the budget and as well as the master fee schedules. And I think the Nitish, Mr. Sharma is actually online. Nitish, do you have anything to add on to what I have mentioned?
No, I think you covered it well. Good evening, members of the Finance Audit Committee, Mr. Mayor and Council Member. So a couple of things just in this fee schedule update that I just wanted to share that we are meeting with the departments, but one of the things that we will be doing is as part of our comprehensive review of fees is looking at the labor cost and looking at making sure that the labor costs are reflected correctly in terms of all the total comp. So one of the things that did come up from the previous discussions with this committee was if you remember, was the pension cost and the unfunded pension costs. So one of the things we are looking at is that every employee who are CalPERS member here, they are on a daily basis, they incur some costs related to unfunded accrued liability. So they basically, we incur that cost. So we will be looking at that as a way to capture that as part of the fee schedule. GovInvest team, we are working with them to develop a fully, I would say, the labor cost system for the book of fees. And when we present to you in the next meeting, the first portion of the presentation will be the labor cost and how those costs were derived, the pay hour cost. So we'll be able to go through in detail all the cost components to ensure that for transparency and accountability, what makes up the total labor cost. And then from the next phase of that is the time that it takes to provide the services, which will be the second discussion. And then the third component will be you taking the two together to see how much does it cost for us to provide the services. So that's where we are on that. Thank you, Angeline.
Thank you, Nitish.
Was that the conclusion of your remarks? Okay, cool. Just want to make sure. So I had a question. Our next meeting, so we meet once a month, end of each month. From now, so it looks like on 4/24 and 5/22, those two meetings look very similar. Can you distinguish between the two? And I didn't really pick up on what is going to happen in between, or what the distinction is between those two items. And then,
Okay.
Are we pushing it out 2 months because we don't typically meet except once a month? Is there an opportunity to accelerate that timeline?
On the April 24th, to address your first question, April 24th is the presentations of the proposed the budget, and then May 22nd meeting is actually budget workshops that we are preparing for. So just for the budget and audit committees. So that's the one of the distinctions of those two dates. And in terms of meeting it
Wait, can you hold on
earlier
one second?
than-
Can you clarify a little bit? So It's the same
Yes.
audience and the same people, right? So so the first, on the 24th of April, is the presentation. The 22nd is a workshop. What is the outcome that you're expecting that is different for each of those?
So if I could, Mr. Mayor, the idea is in the first workshop is to present to you the methodologies, present to you the fee components and then also the first preliminary draft, and then get a buy-in from this committee if there is any suggestions, any comments, or anything that we need to revisit or address. We may be able to address most of these things in the first meeting and may not need the second meeting, but the second meeting is primarily to come back to this board with any of the recommendations or suggestions from the first meeting. So that's what it is. And as far as the having meetings ahead of time, we could always if our city manager, can always have 2x2s or things like that if we needed to, or send information in advance. So we don't need to necessarily wait for the official meeting. This is a work that is ongoing, and we'll be happy to or share the information by other means as well.
Okay, that makes sense to me. Thank you.
Okay, so the 24th of April could be the presentation, and could it also be the workshop?
Well, I mean, if they need time to go back and make adjustments, then they'll do that. I mean,
They
if it's
could do that.
minor, they could probably do it on the fly.
And my only concern is the rest of the council will not be participating, I guess, in the budget workshop till June 6th. Is that a normal timeline to get it complete by the end of that month?
I think it
The
depends
idea
upon.
is that this, oh, sorry, I'm not sure.
No, go ahead,
I'm sorry,
Nitesh.
Mr. Mayor, if you're speaking. Go ahead.
I was going to say, if depending on how many comments there are and how complicated the budget process is with things like the GAD, and we have some different subjects we're going to be talking about this year that are maybe different than years past, just because we're digging into details a lot deeper on those. And so depending on how much time it's going to take to develop those, the 6th may require a follow-up meeting, or we could possibly push that into May, the first meeting with council at the end of May, and ahead of the budget and audit, just to give the council and the community a lay of the land, and then come back to budget and audit following, and then come back for a workshop. So there's different ways to do it depending, but normally historically in Clayton, one meeting has been how long it's taken to go through the budget.
Yeah, that's right. I think there's been maybe one time where we needed an additional meeting, and so we did a special meeting for that. But I think this is consistent with
Okay,
their
thank
schedule.
you.
All right. Do you have any other questions? This is just a scheduling update, I think, right? Okay, so public comment on this item. Mr. Kelleran, if you wanted to step up.
Good day, Mayor Juan and Councilmember Trupiano. As a conservative, I am concerned about hidden taxes through the use of permanent fees charged through a city master schedule. Rather than reduce bureaucracy and work monitored by the city, a new aggressive formula is being proposed by the city that will significantly increase its permit and fees to be billed to homeowners and charitable organizations. The new tax revenue formula will include the city's unfunded pension liability, which deals with services incurred in the past. The Contra Costa Taxpayers Association and other conservative tax monitoring organizations strongly believe that cities should work to eliminate bureaucracy and redundancy of taxes and fees charged to homeowners. Respectively, I ask that hidden taxes do not deal with reasonable current service recoveries should be voted on by the residents of Clayton. Lastly, the citizens should be significantly concerned on the establishment of any intrusive city workers hunting in our neighborhoods for code enforcement revenues such as they do in San Francisco and other big cities. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Mr. Miller, you are up next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ed Miller, Dana Hills. As this subcommittee contemplates budget options for our city, I wanted to offer some thoughts on the state's history regarding state and local fees and some of the restrictions imposed upon them. In 2010, Proposition 26 was passed due to public concerns that hidden taxes were being imposed without voter approval in the form of excessive fees. It amended the state constitution to define precisely which types of charges are taxes, which are fees, and which are property development charges. The distinctions are important since the law requires 2/3 of local voters to approve taxes, but only a majority of the City Council for fees. It was supported by the California Taxpayers Association, Americans for Tax Reform, and the California Chamber of Commerce, among others. The short version is that it limits fees to cover only the reasonable costs incurred by the city to provide a service to the fee payer. In contrast, costs that are distributed across all of the city government that, quote, benefit the public broadly, unquote, by their impact on the unrestricted general fund might be considered a tax under these provisions. I'm confident that this subcommittee will take all of these factors and others into consideration as they deliberate and will be fully transparent in their methodology, consulting with the city's legal counsel as necessary. Thank you both for your service to the city.
Thank you. Janet, do we have, well, first, do we have anyone else in the room that would like to comment? Janet, do we have anyone online?
Mayor Juan, I do have one hand raised on Zoom, and just to let our Zoom callers know, we do not have a timer on display, so I will be using a phone, and you'll hear an audible sound when time is up.
Excellent.
Okay, I won't need the whole 3 minutes, Janet. I just did want to mention, in addition to, what Ed and Jim have mentioned regarding Prop 26, I suspect that the city attorney and the city manager will help keep the committee in line there, so I won't comment in that area, but would encourage the committee to consider, if you are going to head down the road of sneaking taxes and not calling them taxes into permit fees, I would encourage the committee to also consider to cover unfunded liabilities. I'd encourage the committee to also consider, if you don't receive the same kind of revenues and throughputs on those permits, how that because your fees have increased, how that will affect your overall work toward the unfunded liability. So would encourage the committee to consider that as well as you go down this road. Thank you, Janet. Thank you, Mayor Juan and Councilmember Trupiano.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments or people with their hands raised?
Mayor Juan, I do not have any other hands raised on this item.
Okay, I will close public comment. I don't think that there's much to discuss at this point on this item unless you had any other feedback. I eagerly await the results of the work. So thank you for the update. And, just like this schedule changed moderately, if there is a change going forward, it's fine. I would just let us know. It's no big concern. Okay, so if we move on to item 3B, and this is, I think both of us had asked to review the list of ongoing active service contracts that we have. And so, Angeline, I believe you are up again if you are ready to present.
I apologize for delay. Some reason I got kicked off, so I rejoined. Okay. For the currently the purpose of this particular agenda item was I was asked to look at all the service contracted service agreements for the currently that active with the city of Clayton. So based on the some of those reviews of the all the outsourced contract services currently the city of Clayton has, I was able to narrow it down to the 48 service contracts that was currently is actually active, and those 48 contract is the mainly focus on the professional service. The contract is provided to the city of Clayton, which is not including any of the day-to-day operations, the contracts such as a copy machine renewal or any of the purchase of the city supplies. So these are strictly for the services rendered to the city of Clayton for the purposes that the city is not able to does not have the capacity to really perform the duties within the city, the personnel or city resources. So there is the broken down into the by the departments. It's mainly with the separated by the public works, police departments, and the mainly categorize it under the city as the rest of the departments that was listed in there. So most of the contracts are actually on the annual base renewal with the cities, and some contractors actually does have a 3-year contracts and have an option to extension of the year to year for additional 3 years, which is the most of the public works, the contracts are in form of the initial contracts and an option to extend it on a year to year as the services as needed in that basis. So this point, I would open up to the Mayor Juan and a council member if you have any questions regarding the specifics of the any type of contracts that you wanted to actually get a little more details. I'd be more than happy to address and answer at this point.
Thank you.
Well, I just wanted one point of clarification, Angeline. So things like that are ongoing, like insurance, Cintas, you did not include those. You included more of the contracts that are service related. That's how you came up with the 48. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes, council member.
Okay. And then I have lots of little detail questions, but one of the general questions, you said that most of these contracts are ongoing. So if we look at the execution date, the reason the overwhelming majority do not have an expiration date is because they auto-renew? Is that how it works?
It's not really the auto renewals. However, for the purpose of the going through these exercise of gathering the informations, I did not have I was not able to really pull up all the executed contracts in our system. So that's why what's left on the contract expiration date does not mean that they do not have the active contract. I was not able to locate the actual paperwork that for the contracts, signed contract documentations.
Okay, so do we keep some kind of, I know you probably created this table for us, but we don't have, I guess I have two questions around that. We don't have some kind of a spreadsheet that has our current agreements with start and end dates, and then do we have a place on our server somewhere where we're saving our contracts so that we have, you're smiling, scanned copies at least of the fully executed, fully signed agreements, or don't we?
Yeah, for the spreadsheet version of it, to answer your questions on that one, is we do not have any any the spreadsheet that anybody is maintaining to really keeping track of these contract execution date and expiration date. Unfortunately, we do not have that system in place. I'm actually envisioning of doing those as I'm going through these exercises of pulling all those contracts. I felt the need, so it's going to be something that I'm going to be working on and putting it together to have that we have the constant, the accurate system that we can readily go in and look at as a database that we can look at. And to the second question that you have mentioned is the actual hard copies of these contracts. We do have the online network locations that has all the contracts, signed copies of the contracts. We do have the locations. However, I'm just going to presuming that due to the turnover in the staff, I'm not sure that not all the contracts made it to that network drive we have the designated location to put all the contracts, executed contracts. So that's where that I ran into the issues. I was not able to pull up all the latest and current contracts on that folder. And then also for some department keeps it as a hard copy rather than scanning the copies and store them on the network drive. So we do have actual file cabinets with these contracts in a hard copy format. So I was going through the both process, but two places not exactly sharing the same type of information. So that might be something that we do need to work on to get everything scanned and then put it on the online so that we can have everybody has access to the current and latest informations on that one. So that's in progress at the moment.
And
Oh,
if I may,
okay,
and
so
to-
go ahead. Does somebody else say something?
Councilmember Tropiano, one of the opportunities we have is, as if you remember in our strategic planning meeting, that finance is looking at various initiatives for streamlining the processes, I think with Angeline here. And with the system that we have, the Enterprise Resource Planning System, ERP system, is looking at the procurement module in there to see if there is an opportunity to put those contracts as part of the the purchasing process. So that I would say that this is probably a huge, big step for the city to start gathering this information and being a decentralized purchasing system and decentralized management system. I believe that this will be a very first step into the right direction, putting all the contracts together, the contract execution date, the expiration date, and also the not to exceed amounts as well, so we can better track those expenditures. So we are looking at we do have opportunities through the ERP system as well. So your question is very much appreciated, but I will say that this is I appreciate that this is the first step that in the right direction.
Okay, and my last question around that is then we came up again with this 48, even though we had some hard copies and some copies online, sort of based on what the amount of the invoice is, or people that we pay on a regular basis that we know we're on. I'm just trying to wrap my head around, if we don't have copies of all the contract, how did we come up with just this 48? Was it just based on, anybody know?
Yes.
Ritesh
This
or
is the
Angeline?
actually combination of the multiple. I actually reach out to each of the departments leaders to give me the list of their most current and active the contract services vendors information, and that information is then taken into our accounting system to track back and to really validate whether they're active at the moment based on the payment histories. And sometimes our accounting system does include the scan the copies of the contracts and invoices. So, but it's not always been done in a consistent consistent manner, depending on the availability of the contract copies and so forth. So that is the combination of pulling the both by interviewing the department leaders and as well as the going through the payment history of the from our financial systems.
Okay, thank you. Do you have other, I have a lot of detail stuff, so
I just
yeah.
have a few questions and some suggestions. I think for the purpose of this, because it's a new exercise, it may be useful to append the listing that you have with a historical spend amount over time. Because some of these, I think, probably made the list, but they're not necessarily ongoing contracts. And I know that I'm cherry picking a little bit just because, for the sake of example, but there was one that has like this, the Evans and Son, which was, it looks like we used it for the Center Street planter cap replacement, but I doubt that's like an ongoing regular thing.
Well, even the paving was almost 900,000, but that
The paving is
done.
actually, we do like every other year. So, but it goes out to bid each year. So it may make sense to kind of put like a historical spend on that. And then it does look like if the column that is contract amount, I know that you mentioned that we don't have the actual, all the contracts, but that would be helpful, I think, just as a piece of information. And then also, some of these I know are required, like whether or not we have this contractor do it or a different, the service is required, like the fire extinguisher monitoring, we have to do that periodically. But then some aren't. Some services are discretionary, and so I don't know if I would maintain that on a permanent basis, but at least as we get going and doing the analysis, it may help to kind of like indicate which is a required service and which isn't, just so that we can have that as context. And then, the others, some are one-time in nature. And then it also looks like some have overlapping services provided, and they're probably different, I think, but can't tell. Like Wizix says IT services, and then Apex is IT services. So I don't know if there's opportunity there or if it's just a clarification on what it actually is. And then, there's several that are for electric as well. The streetlight poles and repairs, it looks like it's covering multiple different vendors as well. So I don't know if there's opportunity to consolidate service providers, or if these are distinct services that do entirely different things. That would be other data to assess, I think.
Well, and I had that on my list too, because I don't even think it's duplication, or maybe, but that there are several different contractors providing maybe similar services, but maybe complementary. And so I know it's 4:35, but maybe some of these we can go through, because that's where a lot of my questions were. Like, what exactly does that provider provide us? And how is that different than this similar provider? I have a lot of questions around that, so.
Yeah, we can go there too.
Okay.
And do we have to have the payphone there? Can we get rid of the payphone?
$70 a month.
It's not
It adds
a
up.
lot, but come on. I know people call the police department when City Hall's closed so they can go in, right?
We do have to have some avenue for them to be able to reach dispatch if they don't have a cell phone. We can look into, I know there's telephones that you can set up that can be out there, and it's just a dummy line. When you pick it up, it automatically calls to dispatch. I don't know if it would be any cheaper, though, because at $70 a month is not much.
I know.
But yes, we do have to have some kind of way for them to call.
I've been camping a lot lately over COVID, and some of the places that you go to, there's no reception, and they have they have payphones there, but they're long since discontinued because they didn't pay for service. So I know that, I don't know if there's a requirement that we have a phone there.
Not for, like, if you wanted to call and order a pizza, but to be able to reach dispatch, yeah, there is.
So like a call box?
Yes,
Kind of an
exactly.
emergency call
Exactly.
box that would be on the side of a highway?
Yeah,
or-
and I haven't
okay.
seen this phone in years, but I'm under the impression, I don't think you can pick that up and put a quarter in and call somebody else. I think when you pick it up, it does dial directly to dispatch.
Okay.
Okay.
So it says payphone, but I don't think it's really a payphone.
It's a ruse. All right. Well, it's $70 a month, I guess. Okay. Did you want to? Actually, well, before we do that, Does anyone want to make public comment on this item? This is regarding contracted services agreements review. Janet, do we have anyone online?
Mayor Juan, I do have one hand raised online. Terry, as I promote you to panelist, if you can please unmute your microphone, you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Hi, guys. So I just want to comment that personally, I found this discussion to be a little bit alarming. I know that, I've come to council meetings and I've suggested to the council that, instead of targeting the CBCA and the contract and immediately moving to a termination and focusing city staff efforts on that as a way to find more revenue sources for the city, that you guys look at a holistic picture. I'm pretty alarmed to see the incomplete list here of the contracts and the discussion about not really knowing where and what we've got out there. For one, it makes me wonder what opportunities that we have out there. And for two, it really does make me concerned that my, initial question to you, Mayor Juan, about why the CBCA was being targeted and why their contract was being terminated. It makes it feel all the more suspicious, and it honestly makes me question: was it being targeted because it's the only contract that was easy to put your hands on? I'm a little alarmed here that it's so difficult to find what agreements that we have with vendors. Though honestly, not surprised, because I know that Raina and certain council members have mentioned in the past the need for digitalization and organization with in the city staff. So hope we can see some of that improvement this year. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so any other comment?
Mayor Juan, I do not have any other hands raised on this item.
Okay, I will close public comment on that. I forget, did we schedule it till 5 or did we schedule it till 6? Okay, so we have time. Do you want to go through some of your details? Let's look at it.
So I'm just going to go in order of the agreement, the list of contractors. And so, and I know that over the last several months, I keep looking at our finances, who we're paying, and I've tried to get a handle on who all of our contractors are, but I still have a couple of different questions here. And it starts with Precision Civil Engineering, which is at the top of the list, not to exceed $59,500. So what do we use this particular engineering firm for? And maybe in the context of versus what our city engineer does, what Harrison Associates does, what some other engineering firms that we pay. Does Angeline or Nitish, do you want to answer that?
Mayor Juan, I wanted to let you know that our Community Development Director, Dana Ayers, has her hand raised, so she may be able to assist with some of these questions.
Thank you.
Any member of staff who is online is welcome to chime in at any time.
So Precision Civil Engineering, do we know what they do?
Yes, okay. Thank you, Janet. Members, the Precision Civil Engineering is the engineering firm that has been selected to prepare the accessory dwelling unit pre-reviewed plans. So they are assigned to a specific task related to the SB2 grant that the city was awarded in 2021.
Okay, thank you.
So the
I
work
have
they're
a
doing is
pretty good-
architectural primarily, so it's outside of what our engineer does.
Got it. Okay, thank you. And I pretty much understand what Thies Engineering does. So Apex Technology, and this kind of goes to what Mayor Juan was saying. We've got a $68,000 contract, and can you describe for us the services, someone that Apex does versus what Digital Services does? What I think we have.
Wizix?
What's that?
Wizix?
Wizix is the other one, and kind of differentiate for us how those contractors differ in their deliverables.
Councilmember Chupiano, I might be able to answer part of that question. So with Digital Services, they are in charge of our website and live streaming for our city council meetings. And then Apex is our new IT provider for everything else. And I'm not sure about the other company.
So Apex is, did you say Apex? They're doing our IT infrastructure, security measures, ransomware, and that third company, we don't know what they're.
I am not aware of the third company, but I can confirm with Apex you're correct on
Okay,
those services.
Wizix Tech Group, okay.
Yeah, go for it. I was taking some notes. So.
So the Geo Consultants, Inc., $1,546.50 a month. It says paid by Oakhurst. So is that for GAD services? It says that they do well monitoring, and it says paid for by Oakhurst Country Club. So why would that be a vendor of ours if we're not paying them?
Since Larry's not here to answer that, and I don't know if he could have, Larry Thies, our city engineer, we will look into that and see. I suspect it's probably GAD-related to the monitoring of the wells, and there is some monitoring being done. Why it's paid by Oakhurst, I don't know if that was originally paid by Oakhurst and no longer, but we can get the answer to that as well.
Okay, and I guess it's encouraging that the wells are being monitored, so
I think
that could be.
I'm not sure all of them, but
Yeah,
some
and
probably
maybe
are.
we can find out the specifics around that. J&R floor, so it said sidewalk repair, floor repair. So sidewalk repair, in my mind, I'm thinking concrete work. So do they do both of those things? Floor repair and sidewalk repair? Jim?
J&R Floor Services is our janitorial service
Right.
for the city. Recently, we've asked them to do some sidewalk repair. They did the corner of Morris Street and Main Street, where there was a couple of broken curbs that have been broken for as long as I've been here. They did a wonderful job of repairing those with a long-lasting concrete product.
Oh, okay.
It was a little more expensive than a regular concrete, but the job they did was amazing. Also had them do a little bit of work up on Miwok, and like I said, again, their work was fantastic. So when we're talking about concrete repair, they do grinding of lifted sidewalks that are I want to say ADA non-compliant, where tree roots lift them up, they'll grind the concrete down so it's level again, and small projects like that. But they have just very recently started doing that for us. Their main job that they do for us is janitorial.
Okay, that is great, because I know them as the floor guys, janitorial services,
Right.
and I wasn't thinking them as sidewalk.
Does that overlap with pavement engineering?
No, not exactly, because pavement engineering is coming in, I believe, and taking out a whole section of concrete that's cracked and broken up, and then coming in and repouring a whole new sidewalk. They're also doing ADA ramps and things like that, things that J&R Flooring is probably a little bit too large for them. So
Well,
it's-
and that goes to J&R Construction, which is doing street paving with Bay Paving, with pavement engineering. And so that was kind of my next question. Are you able to give us the difference on what their responsibilities
No,
are?
that would probably be a question for your city engineer.
Okay. And then Kennedy Associates and Associates, I believe, as a consultant for the Olivia project.
Yes, my understanding that they're doing plan checking services for Olivia, and so that cost is being reimbursed by the developer.
Got it. Thank you. And then Mays and Associates, this goes to my finance category. It says finance consultant. Can you, Angeline or Natish, explain to us what Mays and Associates does?
I don't think Mays and Associates have a current contract with us anymore. So, I mean, they did some work for us, but we have our auditors, Bryce, but they are, I believe they did some work for the city before, but I don't think that's an ongoing contract.
Okay, thank you. And then the same with NFP Accounting Technologies. Is that more of a software support company for ClearGov or any other financial software that we have?
Go ahead, Angeline.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so this is for the services that our current financial, the system that is a Blackbot, that's where that we have the training separate consultants to provide the training services on those, the financial, the edge, the accounting system.
So I think this is related to work in the prior year where the team needed assistance in having some of the modules function in the way that they expected it to. So Financial Edge, I think, is another name for the company for our ERP, which is Blackbaud. So Financial Edge is the product that we utilize, and so it's probably the support service contract for that.
Okay, thank you.
It doesn't seem like it'd be ongoing in nature other than the regular ongoing software license support, so.
And R3, it said franchise agreements. Is that specific to garbage and recycling consulting?
Correct. That's specific to the franchise agreement negotiations we're doing with Republic, and actually Republic is paying the cost of that contract.
And we're working with them now to get through the new agreement.
Yes.
Underground service, 811 services. I looked this up. I'm still not sure. It said it's access to utility services. Is that a number somebody calls before they
Call before you
put
dig.
the shovel in the ground and you don't hit a gas line? Okay, I got it. I know Vulture, a strategic we're not using anymore. Larry, I know. All city management, crossing guards, that's an annual, right? Expiring at the end of June. We talked about the payphone. So one of the other things was fire services. So is there any reason we're not using CR Fireline to also check our fire extinguishers? They're probably doing the testing of all of our alarms. I didn't know if there was a reason we were using, I lost my place. Hang on.
You're looking at number 21 versus number 27?
Yep. Let me just make sure before I say yes. 21 and 27. Yeah. All guard systems, fire alarm, and CR Fireline.
All Guard alarm system monitors our security alarms, like here at the library in Hoyer Hall. So I believe that's a typo. CR Fireline monitors our fire sprinkler systems, and Cintas Fire Protection takes care of all of our fire extinguishers annually. So it's basically three separate entities that are taking care of three separate things.
Okay, so security alarms, Cintas is the extinguishers, and CR Fireline is the...
They monitor your overhead
sprinkler.
sprinklers,
Got
your
it.
fire sprinklers?
Got
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Paving, we kind of talked about the difference, major projects versus smaller. Electrical, you might as well stay up there for a minute, Jim. So Continental Electrician versus Dillon Electric, and I don't know if there are other electricians that are on call. I imagine they all do different things for us.
Personally, I don't have any experience with Continental Electric. I know Dillon Electric takes care of most of our electrical needs that are
thought so.
beyond our capacity, like street lights, electricity at the Grove. Anytime I have an issue with electricity that we can't figure out, we call Dave. He comes in, Johnny on the spot. Just a few weeks ago at a council meeting, the parking lot lights were out here. I called him the next day. He was here the next day. He figured out the problem, took care of it. So it's very responsive and very capable.
Okay, so while you're up there, and we're talking about light poles and Dillon Electric, is the company we actually buy them from Valmont? It
That
just
is-
said light poles.
That is one of the companies that we purchased the median light poles from.
Medium light poles.
Yeah.
Okay. That we own. Yeah, not the ones PG&E owns.
Next question.
Next question. So, Environtech Enterprises weed abatement, 3-year agreement, $199,000. How is their weed abatement services different than what Warner provides to us?
Envirotech Enterprises sprays noxious weeds in the open space. So those big giant thistles that look like they're artichoke thistles is what they are. They spray those out and any other noxious weeds that we want to keep out of our hillsides. And that's all they do. They just do spraying of those noxious weeds. Warner Brothers does the 30-foot fire breaks throughout the city. So all of your fire breaks behind all the homes in open space areas are cut by Warner Brothers Tree Service and his crew.
And later, I'm going to have a few more questions around the Warner Tree Service agreements, but I just want to see while you're up here. So G.N. Henley, it said PW repairs, emergency street, trail repair. Is it something specific that they do, or?
I've used G.N. Henley on several different projects throughout the city where we've had sinkholes. We've had various large construction projects that need a tractor and a backhoe and that kind of thing to repair those. As we speak, we have I think 3 places on the Cardinal Trail where the creek is washed out and we have them fenced off. There's 4 different mudslides in the city right now. Those are the types of things that G.N. Henley comes in and takes care of. So we've actually had proposals from him and another contractor to start working on that.
Okay, thank you. And then Hamilton, I imagine, supplements Warner Tree Service, or do they do more emergency on-call? I know Warner's on a contract with us.
Correct.
But Hamilton, is that a as-needed basis?
Recently, we had a very large eucalyptus tree when we had our major storms a couple months ago fall across the creek on the Cardinal Trail.
Yeah.
It needed a very large crane in order to lift it up out of the creek.
I saw that.
So, yeah. So I stood out there for 6.5 hours. But that's the kind of work they do for us. We also had a very large century oak fall down in the creek in Lillian Lane Park at the bridge that goes to Oakhurst. They also removed that tree. So whenever we have, Warner doesn't have a crane anymore. So whenever we have a very large project or an emergency project that Warner can't handle, we call on Hamilton.
Thank you. And my next question was JAM, light poles, replacement repair company. And again, is the company, are we ordering poles from them, or they're doing repair similar to what Dillon Electric is doing?
No, JAM Services provides the luminaires for the poles. So you have the pole, you have the arms, we get those, and then we get the luminaires, the actual LED fixtures from JAM Services in Livermore.
Okay. I'm almost done here. MSR Mechanical, who does our HVAC services, are they currently on a contract with
I
us?
believe they are, yes.
Okay. Because, hang on a second. Is there an expiration date on here? I thought there wasn't. Sorry. Yeah, I don't see an expiration date. It says, so if it says the contract was executed 12/30, does that just mean it's an ongoing contract? There's no almost no expiration dates on any of these. Okay.
I can
So what, as,
clarify
go ahead, Ann.
on those. I'm sorry. I can clarify the not having the expiration date and the contract execution date. Some of those execution date, I was not able to find the actual copies of the executed contracts. So some of those dates are actually the last payments made by the city to those particular contracted service vendors. So on the MSR Mechanical LLC is actually the last payment that we made to them was December 30th, 2022. That's where it's the execution date is.
So does that mean that is the start date of the contract or just the last time we paid them?
Last time we paid them. So I was not able to actually locate the physical copies of the contracts under this particular service contracts.
Okay, thank you, Angeline. And Mount Diablo Landscape, I'm assuming they're supplementing our, go ahead.
We purchase our landscape supplies. Most recently, we purchased, I'm going to say 50 to 60 yards of sand for the storms. So we purchased the sand from them. If we need to buy decomposed granite for a trail, or we need to buy mulch or anything like that, we get it from them.
Thank you, Jim. And Pond M Solutions, the $650 a month, is that part of the cost to running the fountain that we've all been still unsure of exactly how much it's costing us to run? Or is that a separate figure from the cost to, does anybody know?
As far as I know, that's just the monthly maintenance on the fountain. You may be aware that there's huge pumps underneath the ground there. There's all types of electrical equipment. There's filters that need to be changed. There's lights and everything. So they do a great job of keeping the fountain running. When it goes down, we call them to repair it, those types of things.
Excellent. Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, and he also starts it, for holidays and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then SCA of CA, which is our street sweeping service at $4,500 a month, is that part of an umbrella contract with Republic Services, or is it a completely separate company?
That's a completely separate company that the city has been using for many, many years. We are looking to roll that service into the Republic contract going forward in order to consolidate that billing and all of that, simplifying that, and that would just be a pass-through from the residents who pay the bill onto the contractor.
So there might be some savings there.
Or some additional costs.
Or additional costs.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
If there are additional costs, it gets built into the rate. It functions as a pass-through. So while there may be a net increase in cost, it may be a savings depending on who's paying.
And then I have some specific questions about the Warner Tree Service contract, which I'm not going to ask right now, but I'm almost done with my list. So workers.com is a supplemental workforce to our existing maintenance staff.
Correct.
And do I understand correctly that that budget for the workers.com workforce has been cut over the last year?
Yeah, it was brought down to $125,000 to actually, I believe, to add to the trail repairs fund. Excuse me. This year, I've asked to bring it back up to $160,000 due to the rising cost of hiring these employees.
So was it at 160 at one time, then it went to 125 because the trails and landscaping budget was paying for some of that, and now you want it to go back up? Did I understand that correctly?
There's a section of trail between Oakhurst and the Cardinal Trail that we believed was ours. Once we brought Larry Thies on, he discovered that that section of trail was not ours. We had put additional monies in the fund for the street paving to have them repave that section of trail. And then as we surveyed it more, we had decided that there was only one small section where tree roots had lifted the asphalt, and we were going to cut those tree roots out and repair the asphalt, which would have reduced the cost drastically. Right. Then Larry came on and discovered that it's actually the golf course and I believe it's a Cino property that trails between those two properties, so that it's actually not our property. So we took that, I said, I need that money, so we took some of that money back out to compensate for cutting the budget last year.
Excellent. And then my very last question for the moment is, and I've asked this several times before, it's not just a Jim question, it's a city in general question, is about our bidding process. You know, many cities have a site on their website or links with open bids, and I just do want to, I cannot stress enough, especially when these contracts are of a large amount, and I guess we can decide what, unless we have that already, you know, when does it need to go out to bid? Is it over 25,000 or 50,000 or 100,000? But that we are going out to bid and really trying to find the best provider at the right price. And so I'm sure we did that with the paving contract, which was almost 900,000, I hope. And some of these larger maintenance contracts.
For the larger contracts, we definitely do an RFP. For some of the smaller stuff that myself and my crew do, we typically get 3 bidders, and we go with the lowest bidder. It's typically, I believe it's $20,000 to $25,000. Anything above that, then we go to RFP on.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
I don't have as many specific questions, but I do just have some requests that aren't really questions. And because we're kind of doing this as a new exercise that we haven't done before, I think there could be some things that we could do to shore up the process a little bit. It may not be needing to be maintained ongoing forever, but just for now, I think it could be useful. As you know, as Angeline noted, some of these dates, instead of contract execution, it is the last payment date. So for the purposes of this document, if we could indicate which ones we actually have the contracts for, and then it could just be another column. That way, the date would represent, it'd be clear on what those are. Because what I suspect is that there may be several that we no longer have contracts for, or we just can't find them. And so that just, if we don't have them, maybe the vendor has them and they can get it for us. So that'd be nice. And then also, I definitely think the historical spend, maybe by fiscal year, would be useful, just because that would kind of also give a tell on if this is a current contract. Because there are some that are like, we don't use them anymore, so maybe they don't belong on the list. If there's no spend, then we don't really need to spend any time on it. I think that'd be useful. And then for sure, digitization of any contracts we do have should be the norm, I would think. That'd be my suggestion. And then I would really, I know that, on your questions, there are several where there are nuanced differences between certain vendors, but I do think it would be useful, or it could be useful to consider consolidating the services depending on the nature of what they do. It may be different right now, like this one does this type and that does this type, but there may be opportunity to consolidate, and that could be easier for management, just as a suggestion. I don't know if that would actually pan out, but if it does, it could be useful. But really the dollar amounts is going, to me, that's how I would stratify looking at the things, because some of these will be like $70 a month for a phone or something, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on it, but that's how I would sequence our attention. I think that'd be a good way to do it. And then others, I am curious which ones are ongoing. I guess the intersection of what I'm most interested in are the ones that are ongoing, larger dollars, and that's it really. Ongoing and larger dollars are the things that I think are what we should focus our time on.
And then I just want to add to that on the bidding process. So, and I hate to keep calling out Warner Tree Service, but it's one of our larger agreements, and I believe at least one of their 2 agreements is coming to an expiration in June. That if we are going out on some kind of a bidding process, and while we might not have it all set up online on a website, I don't know how we advertise that fact to the community that we are opening up this bidding process, and here's some parameters around it, and here's the deadline for getting them in, so that, it's March, it's almost April already. And so if this is expiring in June, folks would need time to understand the scope of the work and the timeline, and in order to put a nice, decent bid together. And so that we're giving people sufficient time to do that, so we get the best quality back.
Yeah, and the only other thing I had was, I know that next week, is it next week? Yes, next week we're going to be talking about the climate tech stuff will be on the agenda, but one of the things about when I look at the electric contracts is I want to make, I guess, to me it's a goal that we don't have any streetlights that are out, just in general. It probably interacts with the work that we're doing with climate tech, so we may not want to jump the gun and go ahead and do all that work if climate tech's going to come, if we're going to come back and do something as part of that agreement. So I would consider those things together, but in general, I would say if we have vendors that are on deck to do the maintenance of the lights, then we should do that. Like, we shouldn't have any street lights that are out, just in general. But if it does interact with the work that's ongoing with climate tech, then it may make sense to kind of coordinate those efforts. So that was the only other thing I had.
So next steps really is we're going to reconvene until the next Budget and Audit Committee meeting, where we'll have a look at the master fee schedule. And so that'll be another piece.
Yeah, well, will this come back next meeting, or is it going to come at a future meeting?
Yeah, I'd like to get it in better shape than it was today. We had this agendized. We wanted to make sure that you saw it. I didn't want to pretend like it's any better or worse than it is, but once we get the answers to the questions, and because it's going to take some research to
it's a
find
good start.
contract and things. So I'd say maybe in 2 months we might bring it back to this group to take a look at it again. And if we have it done sooner, if we have it done by the end of this month, or if by the next meeting in April, we can bring it then, but I suspect it's probably going to be in May.
So maybe part of the workshop then, right? Which we're going to do in the May Budget and Audit Committee meeting. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
okay
good.
with that.
Excellent. I don't have any other questions. Okay.
And one last thing, I asked Larry Thies if he could jump on, which he did. And so I don't know, Larry, do you have the answer to a question that was asked earlier about Geo Consultants Incorporated well monitoring for $1,546 a month that's paid for by Oakhurst Country Club. Does that ring a bell?
Yes, this is Larry Thies. Can you hear me? Just hopefully.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, that particular element, it took a little while for me here. I forgot what neighborhood that street is, but it is on the other side of the creek from the golf course, near the Lydia Lane Park. These property owners are on well water currently. They're not part of the
Larry, we're having a little trouble hearing you. Could you repeat that again? The last thing we heard was across from the creek near Lydia Lane, and then you cut out. Maybe we could take that one offline. So, but it was a good try. Thank you, though. Yeah, it's okay.
And we had another Larry question. I just can't remember.
Yeah.
I'm looking through my list, but when we
Let's
get him.
let's
Yeah.
gather it. Maybe we could do it offline and
We will.
then come back. That'd be good.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, I think that is the last of our questions. Thank you, everyone, for the work that you did to prepare the list. And I know it's a work in progress, and that's great. That's what we're here for. So we'll get better every day. So thank you. And that closes 3B. Item 4 is adjournment. So as of 5:13, we are adjourned. Thank you.